Welcome, everybody. I'm Mark Marquette. So glad you've joined us to stay curious today. We're inside the American Space Museum in downtown Titusville in our Stay Curious studio, and so glad that you found us. If you're new to our podcast here, just hang with us. We do all kinds of things on here, but the best thing we feel we do for you space lovers out there is interview space leaders, shuttle workers, Apollo workers. There are so many wonderful mini oral histories from men and women of our proud American space program. Go check them out on YouTube there when you have some downtime and don't want to watch another rerun of Seinfeld or Frasier there. Marty, how are you? I know you watch reruns of Big Bang Theory. I know that for a fact, brother.
Well, you don't know that for the last 2 or 3 years,
That's
but
true.
I still watch it.
Okay, good. Well, that's Marty Winkle, our co-producer, worked on the Apollo lunar module and then the Space Shuttle main engines as a computer manager there. So we've got Challenger behind us here, being serviced on the pad. And Marty and I are going to have a brief show today talking about the shuttles of the month of January. We're going to talk about five of them. We talked about five of them last week, and we have a board meeting to go to as I'm the director of the American Space Museum, and Marty is on our board of directors. So, how about that for planting some people that will say yes to my ideas on there? But no, seriously, Marty's an awesome addition to our board and has been a financial fundraiser for this American Space Museum for the better part of 20 years. So thank you, Marty. And we're going to scoot out of here about 3:25, even if I'm not done, because I mean 4:25. Yeah, Eastern time there for Steve Jokums up there. So hello to you all. Let me push the magic button here and get on my tablet. We have 10 beautiful shuttles of January we're going to talk about, but we got a little bit of space history to talk about. There's Steve and Doug Forrest. And Doug and his wife Yoshiko live in the Pasadena area, so God bless their families and friends that they have been hurt by the fires there. Dave Stange says hello to everybody, and let me put my volume down here. And we thank Go History Travel. Where are they at? Oh, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Oh, yeah, backwards. There we go. We're going to thank Go History Travel and the Ramanujan family for their generous financial contribution to our museum. They are also financial supporters of Shuttle Fest, April 11th through 13th, that we have on our events page on Facebook, and we'll be talking more about that. Thank you, Nick Thomas, for talking Monday. Thank you, Bert Dick, for being guest host yesterday. You did a fantastic job. Bert had all kinds of updates of going ons, including the launch last night of two probes going to the moon. I'll briefly show you the trajectories of them. Tomorrow's Terry White, orbital process in chief, and Terry and I are going to talk about the little talked about EDO, extended duration missions of the orbiters. They had a pallet in the payload bay that was to keep oxygen and other vitals to keep the shuttle up there 30 days. Unfortunately, we lost that in Columbia. Nick Thomas always has great stories about astronauts, and we talked about specifically the Jared Isaacman's nomination to be NASA director. So go check those shows out. Friday, I'll tell you right now, I will be attending the funeral of Jim Harrington, former NASA launch director of 22 shuttles. And so we're going to reprise Jim's wonderful Stay Curious episode from April 12th, 2022, the anniversary of STS-1. So look forward to that Friday, you all. Great launch last night. Marty, you were there. Just showed me a video of it. Comment on Ghost Riders in the Sky, and then another into iSpace from Japan going up there. Looked pretty good from your video, Marty.
It was very good. Nice and loud. I was fairly close to it, about 3 miles away. So that was in the OSB2 balcony area. But it was loud. It was nice and big flame.
Big flame.
Yeah.
It was a 111, and I slept in. Quite frankly, have I lost a lot of sleep waiting up for wait till 4 in the morning for the launch of the new Glen, and that didn't happen, and that rocked my world. And I was going to try to get up, but just didn't. You can read up on these things. Very unusual trajectories they're taking. The Blue Ghost of Firefly is going to be in Earth orbit 25 days. Let's see, that's Firefly here. Uh, no, that's. Wait, let me go backwards here. Man, I'm all messed up here. That's the Firefly Ghost Riders in the Sky, um, and it's going to go Earth orbit 25 days. 4 days you'll hear when it's going to the moon. It's going to spend 16 days in lunar orbit, and then it's going to land for 2 weeks at MarQ in the upper right-hand corner of the moon there, number 14 on the slide there. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. Ghost Riders in the Sky, Marty. You know where that comes from?
There's a song, Ghost Riders in the Sky.
That's right. There's a song, Ghost Riders in the Sky. And that's a good one. Several versions of that out there. And then this is sort of an intuitive machines type of lander. iSpace tried to land a couple years ago and it didn't work out. And they will be landing sometime in 4 to 6 months, 2 to 3 months to arrive at the moon. All right. This basically keeps increasing its orbit to the moon around the Earth, bigger and bigger and bigger until it reaches out 240,000 miles. And then the moon's going to smack into it, but it's going to safely land. So good luck to those missions. We saw them leave Earth. Hopefully they'll get to the moon. Well, this is Mr. Jim Harrington, and spend a few minutes on him. He died December 28th at age 89. He was a space pioneer and launch director of 22 space shuttle orbiters in 1995 and 96. You can guess he's a big University of Miami graduate fan. This is after his talk 2 years ago. And what we're holding there is the Operation Score. This was a top secret mission where Jim actually took out the destruct mechanisms of the rocket and replaced it with a tape recorder that had President Eisenhower's voice on it that they transmitted from space on Christmas Eve. He may have passed away the day they transmitted that. I'll have to check that out, but it was right around Christmas 1958. January 58 is when Explorer was launched. Sputnik and 1 and 2 were in 57 there, October and November. So this was amazing. One of the first rockets to go to space with a tape recorder. They actually had to send a signal to it to do it. Jim was a big part of that. He has also managed the countdown for Apollo 6, 9, 12, and 15. And one thing that he talked to us about, Marty, that really touched his heart was that after the Challenger accident, he was asked to participate in a Kennedy Space Center memorial for the crew by dropping a wreath of flowers from a NASA helicopter over the ocean, which he did. But what he said, that he didn't tell many people, was that when the wreath landed in the water, 5 dolphins surfaced and circled the wreath as the helicopter rode away. And what a fitting tribute to those wonderful Challenger astronauts there. And he worked on Gemini, Marty, and no, Mercury. Mr. Harrington goes back to the Mercury program. And the most important event, he said, in the Mercury program was when he met his wife, Jean, who was working for General Dynamics at the time. And she passed away about a year ago. So rest in peace, Jim. There he is. Tommy Usiak took that photo of Jim in front of the Tim Gagnon mirror, a replica 2 years ago, or 3 years ago at Shuttle Fest 1. There he is on STS 86, I believe. 86, talking to Weatherford and his good friend Bob Seek there on the left. Both 2 launch directors, and he will be missed. And so but thank you all for the condolences. This was well received. His funeral is Friday, and I will be there at 2 o'clock, and we will air Mr. Harrington's wonderful uh, video episode that he did on Stay Curious. So, really a quiet guy, a very likable guy, but these quiet men and women are also very stern and commanding when they're launching space shuttles and other rockets. So, all right, happy birthday. I missed a big birthday yesterday, Marty, and it's embarrassing, but this is one of the all-time favorite astronauts, Shannon Lucid, five-time space flyer, the only woman to live on the Russian Mir space station, and an inspiration for women for decades. Happy 82nd birthday, Shannon Lucid. Born Shannon Matilda Wells is her maiden name, in Shanghai, China, January 14th, 1943, to Baptist ministry parents. They settled in Bethany, Oklahoma, where she graduated high school. There is the tribute to her in Newsweek magazine, 188 Days in Space, with her signature there. I've never had a chance to meet her, certainly would love to. 5 shuttle missions, STS-34 deploying Galileo with Mike McCulley as the pilot, and TDRS mission 43 with Jim Adamson, friend of mine. And so she has 5 shuttle missions, pioneering astronaut. She's been married to Michael Lucid of Indianapolis, Indiana, where she calls home. They have 2 daughters, 1 son, 5 grandkids, and 3 grandsons. So though I forgot your birthday, Shannon, nobody else did in your family, I hope. So there she is on the mirror, and just a wonderful inspiration. She talks about how tough it was, Marty, that it wasn't easy being a woman in a man's world. And she had to take some stuff from the Russians up there too, but I'll bet she learned to give it back. So, well, let's hit the highlights of some of the shuttle missions of January that we did not talk about last week. 10 beautiful shuttle missions. Let me get my crib notes on it here. 10 shuttle missions. All the orbiters were launched. Okay, of course, not all of them. The Challenger didn't make it to orbit. 78 days in space. 56 people were orbited. Twice was orbited Brent Jet and Marcia Ivins. Brett was on 72 and 81. Marcia was on 32 and 81 also. So they flew together in January and had 2 missions. 2 dockings of Mir, the 5th of 9 on STS-81 up there in the upper right, and the 8th docking with Andy Thomas coming back, and David Wolf being left up there in STS-89. So 89 is there. We're going to talk about that in a minute. 61C we talked about was an all-star crew of Hoot Gibson, 2 to-be NASA directors, Charlie Bolden and Bill Nelson. 2 Nelsons, Pinky Nelson also flew with Bill Nelson, and Chang Diaz, who has 7 trips to space. I think this was his first one, and Hawley. Hawley's an astronomer, and he had 4 or 5 missions. So, also 2 of the astronauts that lost their lives in the month of launches of January. Mike Anderson, who lost his life, of course, February 1st, 2003 on Columbia. He was on 51C. I know he was in 89. He went to the Mir space station. And El Onizuka was on the first Department of Defense mission there, 51C on the bottom. So a few little thumbnails of the missions. Where have I got those? There we go. I have them right here. But we love the patches, okay? And first up launched is by the way, Tom Usiak, Marty, says that this is his brother's photo, Mark, there. So, and Cliff Watson says Bert did a good job yesterday. Hello, Bill Whiting. Hi, Tom. Hello, Carlton. He's dragging because he was out there at that launch. Starship's delayed 24 hours. Thank you, Dave Stange. It is instead of today, tomorrow. And 41B was the mission of Challenger here that Mark has landed there. So thank you for that information, Tom Usiak. We're going to look at a couple, if I have time, a couple pictures of what's going on there. So the STS 107 patch, bear with me, I did not mark them, and they're not in numerical order very often. In fact, this one follows 113. STS 107, the only patch, Marty, made in the shape of the shuttle out of the 137 missions. The central element of the patch is the microgravity symbol, UG, flowing into rays of the astronaut symbol. The mission inclination is portrayed by the 39-degree angle of the astronaut symbol to the Earth's horizon. The sunrise is representative of the numerous experiments that are the dawn of a new era for continued microgravity research on the ISS and beyond. This was a test bed, folks, for what's going on in the space station the last 24 years. The breadth of science conducted on this mission will have widespread benefits to life on Earth and our continued exploration of space, illustrated by Earth and the stars. The constellation Columbia the Dove on the left symbolizes peace on Earth and the space shuttle Columbia. The 7 stars also represent the mission crew members and honor the original astronauts who paved the way to make research in space possible, those Mercury 7, of course. The Israeli flag is adjacent to the name of Ilan Ramon, the first person from Israel to fly on the space shuttle. And the other names are there. Husband, of course, was the commander, Willie McCool, rookie pilot. And they had a fabulous 16-day mission, almost 17 days, in the microgravity research. Here they are together. I love these photos where they're doing training at the SSPF, Marty, if they're here in the Cape, right, or somewhere in Johnson Space Center, learning some of the hardware. And hardware is a code word for anything that's not inside a computer. And and there's I want to say KC Kapalna Chawla. She's flown to space. You can tell that because they got the 25 Mach 25 patch on there. They proudly wear. So very interesting picture of them. That's Rick Husband there trying to figure out how to open up a bag or something. So a lot of training, a lot of time together. We'll be talking about their lives at our astronaut memorial, January 26th. Well, let's get to the next shuttle launched in the month of January, as STS 107 was launched on the 16th. Launched on the 22nd were 2 shuttles, STS 42 in 1992. And let me get to that real quick as I'm looking at the STS 42. And International Microgravity Lab patch depicts the orbiter with the Space Lab module aboard. And that's what was aboard the Columbia had Space Hab, a little bit smaller than the lab. The spacecraft is oriented in a quiescent tail-to-earth gravity graduate attitude, to best support the various microgravity payloads and experiments. The international composition of crews depicted by the symbols representing Canada and the European Space Agency. The mission number 42 is represented by 6 white stars, 4 on one side of the orbiter and 2 on the other. We've seen that on other patches. The single gold star above Earth's horizon honors the memory of Captain Manley Sonny Carter, our crewmate, colleague, and friend. And Sonny Carter was going to be on this flight and was killed in an accident, and I forget what kind of accident. So there's the astronauts named there. That was an 8-day flight, very successful. They had getaway specials. Here again is inside that space lab. The hab is a little bit smaller than this. Okay, and gives you an idea. They're so intent. No windows. Of course, the windows, they're inside the payload bay. They can't do that. So Next up is STS-89. And 89, I hope you enjoy the symbolism in these patches. Yeah, I know you've got them on your walls in your home, maybe, or sewn to some of your clothing. STS-89 was launched on January 22nd, 1998. The link between U.S. and Russia is represented by Endeavour and Mir orbiting above the Bering Strait between Siberia and Alaska. Wow, see how that's depicted there? Success of the joint missions is depicted by the rising sun. A shadowed ISS rising with the sun represents the future program for which the shuttle Mir missions are prototypes. The outline of the number 8 represents the 8th shuttle docking mission. I didn't know that. The 8 that's inside the red there, that's the 8th docking mission of 9. The 9 stars also symbolize the children of the crew members. Along the rim are the crew members' names, returning and upgoing crew members. Sharapov is Cyrillic, that's the Russian. Red, white, and blue reflect the U.S. and Russian flags. Mark Pestana designed the patch. So Terry Wilcutt was the commander. He was taught by Mike Baker when they went up to the Mir space station together. Joe Edwards, I don't know anything about that. Pilot Donnie Dunbar, Mike Anderson got a taste of space and the Mir space station. And Andy Thomas was taken up there. Jim Riley also on the American astronauts. And there's the Mir. Carter died April 5th, 1991 on a Southeast Airlines crash in Brunswick, Georgia. Thank you very much there for that information. Marty looked up. He was doing NASA business, Carlton said there. Lived through all that training and everything and then get killed in a plane crash. Well, the first Department of Defense mission, DoD, was 51C, launched on January 24th, 1985. 51C, those accounting office numbers for the Government Office of Affairs, was the first dedicated mission to the Department of Defense. Technically, you could say I think STS-4 had some payload that were of DoD, but they later declassified them. The design of the mission patch, I love it. America. I see this, I want to salute, Marty. Don't you? As a hoorah Marine. The mission patch incorporates the insignia of the Department of Defense. The 5 stars represent each service branch: Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The Navy colors, gold and navy blue, are utilized in the design. The red, white, and blue trail behind the orbiter represents the United States. The orbiter is shown with its payload bay hidden from the viewer to represent the DoD mission was top secret. See, and that's in the shield there, and you see it deploying something. The red, white, and blue tail of it there. You just see the underbelly of the heat tiles there. So didn't know that was a symbolism of it, to kind of say, you don't know what's in this. But I believe we do now, as a lot of that's been declassified. And finally, today we're going to talk about STS-51L Challenger. Well, there's Onizuka with Lauren Shriver. Marty ran some marathon races with Lauren Shriver, did you not?
Not marathons, 5Ks.
Okay, 5K. All right, not 26 miles, but 5K. And he's doing well. We saw some recent pictures of him. Well, let's go to 51L to end our program today, as Marty and I got to scoot out to a board meeting. And members of the 51L crew designed this patch, which represents their participation on NASA's mission aboard Challenger, depicted launching from Florida and soaring into space to carry out a variety of goals. Among the prescribed duties of the 5 astronauts and 2 payload specialists was observation and photography of Halley's Comet, which is backdropped against the U.S. flag in the insignia. Bet many of you that escapes your sight there. Surnames of the crew members circle the scene, with the payload specialist being recognized below. Teacher in space Sharon Krista McAuliffe is followed by a symbolic apple. to represent the teacher there. So Gregory Jarvis bumped twice by politicians, once by Jake Garden and then another time by Don Nelson. I mean Bill Nelson, yeah, thank you. Who's Don Nelson?
No idea.
Don Nelson, is he a pitcher in the,
Wasn't that an I Dream of Jeannie?
Yeah, I Dream of Jeannie. Yeah, right. Thank you, Marty, for correcting me there. And so, horrible, horrible tragedies, both of them. Here is another picture you may not have seen of the crew. Again, I chose something, as we always do, taking the high road there. And that is Barbara Morgan right here, who we met the other day. She comes out to the Space Center very frequently, and she was Krista McCall's backup and then flew like 12 years later. I love the lockers. They're doing some training there. Al Ozuka to the left there, Bill or McNair. There's the Jarvis in the background. You don't have the pilot or commander there, Scobie or Smith. So this must have been some training for their, and of course the beautiful Judy Resnick there. Look at the chalkboard too in the back there, 1986. So
look at the telephone on the floor.
oh yeah. Look at the TV up on top of the locker, Marty. They got a little remote TV up there. So
they had a lot of those TVs at the Space Center. I
Do
remember
ya?
those. Oh yeah.
Well, that's our program here on the Shuttles of the month of January. Steve Jokums, thank you for watching. Doug Forrest, Dave Stange, Fox McCloud's watching. Great. Cliff Watson, Tom Celentano, Carlton Bailey, Tom Usiak, Bill Whiting, and Gary Gerald. All right. And tomorrow we'll have, assuming Marty, I still have a job, we'll have with us tomorrow the one and only Terry White, and we're going to talk about a couple things of the orbiter to keep you staying curious. So until tomorrow, I'm Mark Marquette saying thanks for your support. I'll tell our board of directors how much it means that you've watched today's show. Until next time, come see our museum and come see us tomorrow with Terry White to bridge the space between us.